Again, here are some of the examples of what Apple suggests you should do is, of course, make simple icons. The you know icons are meant to be something that you can recognize very quickly. And I think one of the biggest challenges that people or students make when they start making an icon is they make them too complex. The simpler, the better. Look at just a simple phone and so on. Then they have the sizes here in pixels, and you'll notice that iPhone has 180 by 180 pixels, or 120 by 120 pixels, are also called 2x, as well as the iPad Pro has 167 pixels by 167 pixels, also at 2x. The iPad Mini is 152 by 152, also at 2x, and the Apple Store is a big image that they use to display in the store. So these are kind of the common sizes that you use, and like I said, the new version of Illustrator, which I don't think we have that in this version, in that when you design an icon, you don't have to make different artboards. With the older version, what we used to do is, and probably this version that we have on these computers, is I would make a different artboard at all the different sizes like this, and then you could export them out, and you would export out each one as a separate file. But the new version of Illustrator has the ability that you make one file, and when you go to the export window, it'll actually automatically make the sizes for you in the export. It's an export feature. So maybe, I didn't bring my laptop today here, but maybe next week I would love to show you that in the new version of Illustrator, because that saves you a lot of time, not having to make different artboards for each different size icon. And if you look at Xcode, and we're going to look at the programming, this is the program that you use to make an app. So if we look at Xcode, we're going to, oh, there doesn't seem to be. Let me make it, I understand. Let me make a new file. So if we look at a new, what am I doing here? I want that. What do I want? I want a new project. And let's say single application, sure, test, whatever. Where do I want to save it? Let's put it in documents. Oh, there's already a test. Hey, we'll do it. It's two tests there. So in the ability here, let me get a storyboard here. Hold on, I have to think about what I'm doing here. No, I don't want that. Don't want that. No, I don't want that. Why am I have a view controller here? Shit. There we go. I want to right click in here. Why is this in here? This shouldn't be here. So in this window here where you bring in your icons for an app, this is a program, it's called Xcode. We use this to make apps on the Apple computer for both your phone. I use this same application for your phone, your iPad, your operating system. Everything is done in Swift now, or in this program called Xcode. But if you go to import an icon into this program, there's a way to import, let me just grab a graphic. I need a graphic. I need just an image. I don't want any of this. There. And new image set. So if you bring in an image, you go new image set, and you'll notice in the image set you have 1x, 2x, 3x in there, and you bring in the different size images that you export out of Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever program you use, and they have to be named with the at 2x, at 3x, at 1x, I guess, I think at 1x. So you actually name it that way. So the whole purpose and what I'm talking about is The reason why you make different sizes is because the applications like Xcode or on Android, we used to use Eclipse to program an app on Android, but now they have a program called Android Studio. I don't know if you've seen Android Studio, but there's a program called Android Studio, and they actually have 5 different sizes for the Android, 5 different sizes. And you have to name it a specific way as well.
Does iOS have a similar set of functions
What's that?
for iOS instead of Android?
Yeah, this is the iOS right here
Okay.
that we're looking at. So you have 3 different sizes for the different, and it's listed right there on their website. Where is it? Where were we? Here we go. There's app icon sizes, and then there's a whole bunch down here, even different sizes here. They even got 60 pixels by 60 pixels. And these are all different sizes for different things. And this is just in the program itself. So these are in the program, but they also have different sizes for the store, right? And then you have a different size for when you click on it in the settings window. That's a different size as well. So there's a whole bunch of different sizes, and my whole point of this discussion is that how do I deal with different sizes in Illustrator? So let's make a really quick icon, and then we'll talk about sizes. Don't worry about the icon. The other thing to keep in mind, remember, it's square. The round edges that you see on your phone is done by the operating system. You save it as square.
Simple question. Xcode, is that a whole different software program you have to get to do that?
Yeah, it's free. Xcode is free. Huh? Yeah, it's like 2 gigabytes. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very large file. But you have to have a Mac, of course, and you have to have a good Mac to be able to run it. I don't know. My 4-year-old laptop struggles with it. My 2-year-old laptop does pretty well. These computers would do fairly well. And the problem is when you're testing and doing things in the program, it takes a lot of energy because there's there's a testing program right here where you test it, and when you test it, it opens up the actual phone. It looks like a phone. Somewhere it's there somewhere. Where's my test? Here it is. It's a simulator, and it simulates just like the phone. Okay, so you can. I don't have an app. I don't have anything in here, so you can't really see anything. But it is a simulator. It's right here, and you can rotate it left, rotate it right. You can see it rotating. I don't know why it's too big. You can zoom, scale. There it is. So there's a simulator. And it looks like your phone, and actually the simulator acts like your phone. If you want to go to the internet, you can click right there, and you can search Google, and you hit go, and there you're like it's like you have the phone on your computer, right? It's just like you have the phone, so you're actually running the phone operating system because the phone operating system is different than the desktop operating system. This is the iOS, and of course the desktop is the desktop.
The program is Xbox, and this is what we're looking at right here.
It's called Xcode.
Xcode. Yeah.
And you can download it from the App Store for free if you have an Apple.
Yeah.
And you should learn how to use it. Someday, if I get enough students, I'll teach it. Maybe one of the 120 that I bring next week will want to join. We'll see. Okay, let's just talk about dealing with the different sizes. And so let's make a really simple icon. I'm going to cheat. You know me, I love cheating. Cheating's good. So let's say I am making, and what was it? The Noun Project. Remember this website? The Noun Project. And let's say we're making an icon for we did camera one time already, didn't we? Let's do an icon for map. How about a map? Oh, I don't like that. How about weather? I like the weather. Remember we were doing weather last semester? We were doing weather last semester. There we go. So let's say we want to have an icon like this. Again, I don't have an account with these people, but I can steal by using the Command Shift 4, and I can draw a box around my icon here. Try and make it square, as square as you can make it, maybe.
Jeff, are you recording this?
Yes. Okay, whatever. Make it square. Again, the website's called The Noun Project. You can search for an icon. Then I can go into Illustrator, make a new file. Again, remember last class we were making square. Don't worry about size at this point. We can change that later, but make sure it's in RGB because we're doing red, green, and blue. And then I can place my icon that I stole by going under File, Place. But of course, that's a bitmap. Since I took a screen capture from the website, it's a bitmap, right? It's a bitmap. And of course, when you do the screen capture, it shows it on the desktop. If I can find it, is this desktop? Am I on desktop? No, here we go. Desktop. Here it is. It should be called Screenshot on your desktop. Remember though, it's a bitmap still. It's not a vector. It's a bitmap. So the easiest way to convert it into a vector is to use what? What did we learn? Image trace, right? So I can convert this into a vector graphic by going underneath the image trace option. Image trace is a pop-up window. And in the image trace, we can pop up, I'm going to use black and white, that's fine. But remember, to get rid of the white, what do we need to do? Go to Advance and uncheck Ignore White right there. Ignore white. And the white will go away and we'll be just left with a black vector. Perfectly stealable black vector. Okay. And then, of course, I can break this apart so that I can color it if I want by going under Object, Expand, and then that'll make it into an editable object. Beautiful. Now for my icon, I want to have maybe a nice gradient background. You saw that if you've looked at your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, they have the nice gradient blue, don't they? Which one has a nice gradient blue? The Facebook has a beautiful gradient blue, doesn't it? Even the Mail application, the Apple Mail application has a nice gradient blue. So let's make a nice gradient blue for the background behind this. I'm going to use a rectangle, and I'm going to shrink this down by drawing a rectangle. And then let's make a nice gradient in there. Let's make a beautiful gradient blue. And then let's have it go this way from top to bottom. Do you want it like, you want dark on top? I just flipped it using the gradient tool right here, gradient tool. So yeah, so then I'm going to move this to the background by under Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And then of course that doesn't look very good, so I'm going to take this and make it white. There we go. And how about that? We have a nice weather icon for our operating system. So, quick, easy way to make an icon. Steal from the Noun Project, convert it into a vector, put some gradient behind it. I don't know, maybe you could put something in this object. Maybe put a stroke around it if you really wanted to. We could put a stroke around that. But keep it simple. You don't want to do too crazy of stuff, right? If you select it, you want it to be nice and simple. You know, we could put a little gradient orange around there. We're really not going to see it though, are we? It's pretty small. Yeah, it's kind of small. There we go. How about that? Is that better? I don't know. But you get the idea. Okay, so my whole point here is I want to save this for my phone in the different sizes. To save it in your phone for different sizes. I don't think this version has it. We're going to try it though. Again, it's already square, so I don't have to worry about the size right now. But in the new version of Illustrator, you go under File, Export, and inside there, yeah, they don't have it. Inside the new version, they have a new window that looks different than this. Okay, in the new version. And in the new version export window, there's the ability to change to different sizes, and it will actually export out the appropriate size, and it will name it properly too. It'll put at 2x, at 3x, and so on. So upgrade to the newer version, and you'll save you time if you're going to do this.
Go back up to the image trace, and you go to the advanced, and then how do you get it just to pick up the black rather than...
What's that?
If you go to the image trace and you get to the advanced, I have the image sitting there.
Mhm.
I just wanna get the black. You said there was a way of getting rid of the white that came in.
It's under the advanced window under image trace. To get rid of the white under image trace is there's an advanced option, and at the bottom it says click, it says ignore white.
Got it.
Ignore white, and that will remove the white, so you're just left with the black in this case.
Thanks.
Okay, so how can I save this out as different sizes? In this older version, we have an older version. So you're going to want to save as a PNG file. Okay, so the file format that you want to use for the Xcode, the Mac operating system, don't use SVG, use PNG. So here's how I'm going to do it. Is I'm going to go underneath, and I'm not going to make different artboards. That's too much work. I mean, if I was going to show a client this, let's say I was making an app for somebody and I was going to show a client, what I could do is I could go and make different artboards by going to the artboard tool. This is the artboard tool right here. It's right here. And I could draw the artboard out. Then I could double click on the artboard tool and I can put in the appropriate size. Now it's in inches right here, and you're saying I don't understand inches. If I was looking at the Apple website said pixels, right? Do you remember the dimensions on the Apple website said pixels, right? I would then go and change. I need to change the pixels. To change the pixels, I can go underneath. You can actually type it in here. What was it? 60 pixels was one of them, right? And then 60 pixels, right? You can actually type it in there if you would like, and it'll give you an artboard that is 60 pixels by 60 pixels if you really wanted to. If you don't want to see inches in that window, you can go underneath the preferences units right here, and if you change this from inches to pixels in the units under preferences, then you go to the artboard tool and you start drawing. You'll notice pixels show up. So I can draw another one. I think another one was 152 by 152, right? I think there was one. So you click on that, double click on the artboard tool, and you can type in, again, I think it was 152 by 152, and I can make an artboard that is the appropriate size now. And then, of course, I could put some text that's underneath there and type in, this is 152 by 152, and then this one was at 60 by 60. I think I made this one, right? $60 by 60. Oh, 60 by 60. I think that. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different sizes that you need for all the different options. Okay, that's one way to do it. Then what I would do is shrink my art down to fit in there. Now, when you're going to shrink your art, that's a little tricky. And here's the problem, is if you just go and duplicate this, I'm going to duplicate this, and you come over here and start shrinking it down like this, what's going to happen is the stroke that is around the clouds might get big. Oh, it actually shrunk properly. If you're having problems shrinking things down properly, and sometimes strokes or effects do not scale properly when you're scaling things down, you make sure in the scale tool window that you have scale, strokes, and effects. This is very important right here when you're scaling things down, so that the stroke weight of something that is around an object will scale at the same ratio. If this is not checked, if we uncheck this, watch that. Let's uncheck that. Okay, and then now let's see what happens. So uncheck that. Again, that was under scale. So now let me duplicate this, and let me duplicate it over here, and let's start scaling it down. Remember, I unchecked it. Look what happened. Look what happened. The stroke didn't scale. It's still 3 pixels, I think, or whatever I made it when I was there. So again, if you're having problems scaling things in the program, the key here is to double click on the scale feature and say scale, stroke, and effects. And I'm not sure about corners. That might be important as well if you have something that has corners. I don't know what kind of corners. I think it's probably this kind of corner along the edge of where 2 points come together. So keep that in mind. Now this is great to show a client and wonderful, but that's too much work to make all these different artboards. I mean, it's great. You can color print it out, take it to your client, say, look at all these beautiful icons at all the beautiful different sizes. Give me some money. Right? Okay, but that's too much work. So one of the things about Illustrator is you can tell it which artboard you want to export out. Again, this one is the first artboard. And in fact, you can name these artboards so that they have a specific name to them. There's an actual pop-up window for the artboards. If you go underneath Window, Artboards, you'll notice there is a pop-up window, and of course they're all just called Artboard 1, Artboard 2, Artboard 3. Usually it goes in the order that you made them. So since the first one is Artboard 1, if I double click on there, I could call this one my, this is the main image. And then of course the second one I made was 60 by 60. I could call this one 60 by 60. And then this one I think was 120 by 120, 152 by 152. Beautiful and wonderful. But that's again, the artboard thing is too much work. Here's one way that you can actually export one artboard out in different sizes in this version of Illustrator. Like I said, the new version is better and different. This version of Illustrator, how I would do it is I would go under File, Save for Web. Okay, File, Save for Web. In the Save for Web window, oh, it's using, which artboard is it using? I can't see. Is it telling me which artboard? I don't know what artboard. Clip to artboard. Is it telling me which artboard? Let me see. I do have this one selected, don't I? Is artboard selected? Oh yeah. Main image. Here we go. Make sure. I'm going to have my big one selected. So here we go. Under File, Save for Web. Where was it? Oh, here it is. Save for Web. Inside here is a way to scale your image down as you're saving. You want to use PNG 24. That's the format you want to use for your icon. But over here's the dimensions over here. So I can actually put in a pixel. See how it says pixels here? So I can actually put in, what was one of them? 60 by 60. Do you see that? 60 by 60. And then I can hit save. Oh, it's not giving me a window. Oh, here we go. Save, and then this would be my cloud, 60 by 60, and then in theory you're supposed to put the at 1x. I'm not sure 60 by 60 is 1x or not. I don't know. I'd have to read. You have to read their website, and they'll tell you what it is. My whole point to you is I'm showing you how to save the different sizes. You'll have to read that. I can't remember it all. But again, there's one, okay, and then go back. Perfect. Again, so this one's 60 by 60. For another one, I go under File, Save for Web, and let's say the Apple says you want 152. So again, in the size option, in the Save for Web window, I can type in 152, and it makes 152 by 152 right there. I can hit Save, and then I can give it a name. Again, this is my cloud. 152 by 152, and again at, I don't know what this is, 2x, and of course it's a PNG extension. I think it puts it on there automatically. Boom, save it. And then on the Apple site it might have another one. You just keep going over and over again, and it'll actually save it in all the different sizes, so you don't have to make different artboards. Is my whole point. If in this version of Illustrator you use the Save for Web option under File, Save for Web, you can make a piece of artwork any size you want right here.
So as long as you shrink it down to the art,
Yeah.
the artboard down to the art, and then you just save for web and specify whatever size you want.
Yeah. So let's say the Fabcon. You all know what a Fabcon is, right? There we got the little Fabcon favorite icon. That's this little thing right here on the web page, right? See the little G for Google, little Apple for the Apple, and whatever this is for the Noun Project, right? You all know the little Fabcon. These are called Fabcons that come from the idea of favorite icon. Actually, Internet Explorer invented that. Microsoft invented something. Be proud. Microsoft invented something. That's why it's called favorite icon. Favcon is what they're called. They come from Internet Explorer 3. Apple wanted to be able the ability to have a little icon in the favorites, because when you save on Internet Explorer, it used to call it favorites, right? Netscape would use bookmarks, you know, and Chrome, I think, calls it bookmarks, right? but Internet Explorer used to call it favorites, and so they wanted a little icon in the favorites window. So they invented this ability to do that, and that's why it's still called a favicon. That's why it's still called a favicon. So this is, if you're going to save this for WordPress, if you're building a website in WordPress, it's 512 by 512. So again, if I was going to make this for WordPress and save it here, I was going to put this on my website as a little icon up there. It's just go in here and type in 512 by 512. Hit save. Save. And this is going to be my favicon, fav icon. And save it. And then I would bring it into WordPress and boom, it's right there. It'll be my little icon at the top. So there's a lot of different dimensions that you're going to need to know if you're building websites or if you're building, you know, apps for your phone. You're just going to have to read. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reading on the Android website. There's a lot of really good reading on YouTube. YouTube has their own channel for material design. If you go to YouTube, if you spell it right, ooh, that could have been a porn there, baby. Woo. YouTube, and type in material design, Android, and you'll see there's a whole bunch. Android has their own channel, Android developer maybe, I don't know. I know there's oh, here it is. There's the whole material design area here for Google developers right here, material design. And this is a good video, actually. You should watch this one. It shows you all the different ways that Android works. And if you go to the Google Developers channel right here, they got the whole channel here. They have a whole section all on material design, and there's tons of information.
I'm Kevin McDonough. I'm CEO at Navoda.
They show you how to make things. You can use Illustrator to make things. You can use Sketch to make material design. You can use Illustrator to make material design. Make some wonderful material design and apply for a job at Google. There you go. I mean, the key is to make good samples. That's what they'd like to see. Any questions about that icons and saving out as icons? I don't know. You're just going to have to try it. Try all the different things that I demonstrated. I've recorded what I just talked to you about today. I'm going to stop and then